government shutdown. No longer just a Washington problem, it's now landed at an airport near you. Last night, an air traffic control tower sat unmanned for hours at Hollywood Burbank Airport.
As the U.S. is tracking a big drop in tourism from around the world. Take a look at this. Travel from Canada and Mexico was down double digits in March.
One of California's busiest airports left with no air traffic controllers for nearly 6 hours.
Travelers across the United States are bracing right now for possible delays as air traffic control towers have seen major staffing shortages this week.
Imagine walking through JFK or LAX and hearing echoes instead of engine roars. That's no longer fiction, it's reality for America's international gateways. According to a Reuters report, foreign visitor spending in the U.S. is projected to drop by 7% in 2025, roughly $12.5 billion lost. At the same time, tourism analysts warn the country may see as many as 8.2% fewer international arrivals this year. Are U.S. airports quietly collapsing under inward policies, and are global travelers simply bypassing them? Let's uncover what's really happening. Over the past 2 years, America's status as the world's central travel hub is under siege. Once, the U.S. stood as the default gateway between continents. Now, the maps are being redrawn. The U.S. Department of Commerce's International Air Travel Statistics, IA92/APIS, program tracks non-stop international passenger traffic. The U.S. Department of Transportation also publishes the International Air Passenger and Freight Statistics to monitor non-stop cross-border flights. Department of Transportation. Globally, IATA forecasts that passenger traffic growth in 2025 will slow to 5.8%, down from 10.6% in 2024. Meanwhile, in the U.S., travel and tourism economists expect a 7% drop in foreign visitor spending, from approximately $181 billion in 2024 to under $169 billion in 2025. The U.S. is reportedly the only major economy out of 184 with an absolute decline in foreign tourism spending this year. These numbers suggest this is not just a temporary blip, it's a structural shift. In the coming segments, we'll walk you through how major U.S. airports are faltering, which global hubs are rising, and what all this means for America's economic and geopolitical future. JFK has long been America's premier East Coast international hub, but data and on-the-ground reports paint a radically different picture. Airlines are cutting frequency. Emirates, among others, has reduced flights significantly on New York routes. Terminals that once teemed with transfer passengers are now operating at fractions of capacity, with many gates idle. The ripple effects are deep. Fewer connecting passengers, less retail foot traffic, and lower non-aeronautical income. Newark was once the overflow and secondary node for international traffic around New York and New Jersey. Today, major European carriers such as Virgin Atlantic and Swiss have scaled back or eliminated service on key routes. Passenger complaints of delays, understaffing, and darkened gates have increased. The airport's revenue from landing fees, rentals, concessions, and parking is under stress. Combined, JFK and Newark no longer anchor the East Coast global connectivity. In many ways, they symbolize its unraveling. LAX was long a symbol of Hollywood glamour and Pacific access. Now, routes connecting Asia, Oceania, and the Middle East are being suspended or reduced. Airlines like Singapore Airlines and Cathay Pacific have already cut service. The drop in connecting passenger volumes exacerbates the decline. Portland's narrative as a green, efficient airport model is being challenged. International carriers have pulled back completely on several routes. Vancouver, Canada, is increasingly siphoning traffic that might once have flown through Portland. The West Coast is hearing the silence of airplanes. Where once gates buzzed with global traffic, many now stand dark. Miami's role as a bridge to Latin America is collapsing. Many Latin American airlines, LATAM, Avianca, etc., have scaled back U.S. service. Hotel occupancy, beach resorts, restaurants, and ancillary travel services report steep declines. Luxury tourism, once a strong growth sector, is now down sharply in the metro area. Boston's strength lay in transatlantic flows, study abroad, and research exchange. Services from European cities like Dublin, Paris, and London have been cut or reduced. Universities report fewer inbound international students, decreasing demand for transatlantic routes. Many travelers now route via Toronto, London, or other transit hubs instead of flying directly to Boston or the U.S. How Boston holds on to its global academic role may depend on whether its air bridges survive. Seattle was once the Pacific gateway, especially to Asia. Today, Asian routes serving Seattle, including those from Japanese and Chinese carriers, have been truncated or dropped. Boeing, headquartered in the region, has faced production delays, safety scrutiny, and reputational challenges, all of which make airlines wary. International conferences and global business traffic are shifting to Vancouver, Singapore, or Dubai instead. Seattle's decline signals that even U.S. tech and innovation hubs cannot escape the global recalibration of air routes. While U.S. airports struggle, others are stepping up. Canada, Toronto Pearson, and Vancouver International are increasingly absorbing rerouted traffic for U.S.-bound and transit passengers. Middle East and Asia, Dubai, Doha, Singapore, and Istanbul are aggressively expanding their transit infrastructure and capacity. Airlines prefer politically stable, low-friction hubs over uncertain visa-restrictive ones. The rise of alternate hub strategies means airlines are optimizing for smooth connectivity, often cutting U.S. stops. The redirection of global travel flows is a power shift in how the air map is drawn. Beyond passenger demand, policy headwinds intensify the drift. Starting October 1, 2025, the U.S. will impose a $250 visa integrity fee on travelers from many non-visa waiver countries, raising the total visa cost to approximately $442. This extra barrier is expected to deter travelers, especially from India, China, Brazil, and other key markets. High-profile detentions at U.S. borders, enhanced customs screening, and tighter regulations have unsettled foreign travelers. Some travel agencies in France report a 20% drop in U.S. bookings, citing political backlash against U.S. policies. Le Monde Point Far. The U.S. now stands alone among major economies with projected declining foreign tourism spending in 2025. The strong U.S. dollar makes U.S. travel more expensive for international tourists. Inflation, fuel surcharges, and accommodation costs add further deterrence to potential visitors. Together, these policy and perception factors deepen the structural drag on U.S. aviation appeal. Travel-related sectors account for nearly 10% of U.S. jobs: hospitality, retail, transport. Declines in international tourism could imperil hundreds of thousands of jobs, reported by media sources citing industry estimates. Cities heavily reliant on tourist flows, hotels, restaurants, tour operators, feel immediate strain. Local government revenues tied to hotel taxes, sales taxes, and airport fees decline sharply. Airports are more than infrastructure. They are gateways to culture, commerce, and influence. When they edge toward emptiness, the global message is loud. The U.S. is retreating. U.S. loses leverage in diplomacy, trade, and academic exchange if connectivity falters. The world's narrative shifts. Transit, and thus influence, flows where connectivity is welcomed, not obstructed. If America becomes reliant on foreign hubs for access, those hubs gain leverage in routing decisions, transit fees, and alliances. A weakened domestic hub network gives away strategic advantage in global aviation. America's airports are more than terminals. They are symbols of its global reach. Their decline marks not just fewer flights, but fading influence, revenue, and relevance. The U.S. can reclaim its skies, but only with bold policy reform, simplified visa systems, re-engagement in diplomacy, and renewed infrastructure investment. Otherwise, the maps being redrawn today may harden into tomorrow's permanent borders.